Have you gone to plug in a hairdryer, toaster, phone, or anything else in your RV and nothing happens? Just no power to your outlets whatsoever. Well, I'm Ian Baker, and today I'm going to cover troubleshooting your RV's electrical outlets, including how to test for operation and how to determine which ones are in the same circuit. Before we dive headlong into troubleshooting, however, it's worth noting the most common reason outlets aren't working is because a GFCI outlet is tripped somewhere in your RV. You're welcome. Now let's get into it. The first step is checking which power source you're drawing electricity from. For most RVs, this will be from the campground pedestal. You'll want to make sure the correct pedestal breaker is in the on position to allow power to flow, and that the shore power cord is securely connected to both the pedestal and your RV. A good surge protector will also greatly aid in troubleshooting if the root cause is a power source issue. If you're not plugged in at the campground, but instead using batteries and an inverter to transform 12-volt DC into 120-volt AC, then you'll want to check that your RV house batteries both have a good connection without significant corrosion and that they are charged. Once you've verified that your power source is good, the next step is to check your GFCI or ground fault circuit interrupter outlets. GFCI outlets are easy to spot as they have buttons on them that say test and reset. However, here is the tricky part. GFCIs not only protect any electrical device plugged into that receptacle, but they also protect additional outlets connected to the same circuit, meaning they're connected by the same electrical line. This is why an outlet without GFCI buttons can appear to not work. For example, a coffee pot plugged into a standard outlet at the end of a wraparound kitchen counter may be connected to the same line as the GFCI outlet next to your cooktop. Most GFCI outlets are near potentially wet areas of the RV, such as the kitchen sink, bathroom sink, and exterior outlets. To see if a tripped GFCI plug is the problem, you could go around your RV and push all the reset buttons on the GFCI outlets, starting with the one closest to the outlet not working, but there is a better way to go about it, which is GFCI mapping. And here's how you do it. First off, there are some tools available to help you out with mapping. While I prefer a multimeter as it's a much more robust tool, and quite frankly you should have one in your RV toolbox anyway, a simple outlet tester will work as well. As mentioned previously, each GFCI has a test button. When you press this button, you will hear an audible click and the internal circuit will open. And an open circuit is essentially the same as a tripped circuit. You'll want to test the GFCI outlet to ensure that power flow has been interrupted. With the multimeter, you'll get a reading that should effectively be 0 or very close to it, and with the tester, the light should be off. You'll then move to adjacent outlets and start testing them as well. If they don't have power, then you'll know that they are tied to the same circuit. I recommend taking a piece of tape and temporarily putting it on the outlets of the same circuit to help remember which outlets belong to which circuit. In larger RVs with several GFCI circuits, it may be beneficial to number all of the same circuit or use different colors of tape for easy identification. You'll also want to check any outside outlets as they are often tied to an internal GFCI circuit. A few quick side notes before we finish up. First, you may find an outlet that doesn't lose power when any of the GFCIs are tripped, and that is completely normal. It simply means that the RV manufacturer determined that GFCI protection was not needed at that specific outlet. Another note is that during the mapping process, if you find any miswired outlets, which your multimeter or test light will help you identify, then I recommend you have your RV checked by a trained maintenance professional at your nearest Camping World Service Center. And that wraps up this video. Thanks for joining me, folks. I'm Ian Baker, and if you found this video helpful, make sure you subscribe and come back for more helpful RV troubleshooting tips and how-to do-it-yourself information.